This is not going to be a particularly long video, but basically the concept behind this is, as I said at the last video, what would be nice is I had to calculate the number of degrees I need to rotate. And the calculation was simple. It was 360 degrees divided by the number of circles. And first of all it was 6, so I ended up with 60, and then I put 7, and it was 51 point something, and we rounded it off. Now, how do I know it's going to be 7? Because I've got 7 colors, and the system is taking each of the colors. This loop is simply taking this list. This is a list of colors, and it's taking that list and it's assigned it to this variable called colors. So we've created a variable. Well, variable means it can vary. The contents of this can vary. We can change our list. It's easy enough. And then what we've got is our loop here, and our loop is using our colors list, and it's saying for color in colors. And what that means is take the first color and assign that to my new variable called color, singular. It didn't have to be called color, by the way, nor did that have to be called colors any more than I had to call my turtle my turtle. The terminology I use is up to me. I use names that are suggestive, that are fit with what I'm using them for, but I'm not using anything. They're not magical, they're not special, no hocus pocus going on here. They are simply words that I know I can use that work very, very effectively for the job. I've got the colors holds a list of colors. Color will hold one color from that list of colors, and then it runs through this loop. So since I know I have 7 colors, I know that it's going to go through this 7 times. That means it's going to create 7 circles, and 7 circles means a degree of 51 degrees, and probably has some significant religious authority for someone somewhere, but let's not worry about that because it's got no relevance. So let's move on. So what we want to do though is we want to change that rule, because if I said to myself, okay, well, I don't want this 7th color, let's get rid of it. Now I've just varied my variable, woohoo! But now I've got to go down here and remember to change this to 60 and run this, and that will work. Oh no, but I want that color back, so I've got to make sure that's 51 because I want my color back in there. Oh, I've got to make it 51, and all the rest of it. That's nonsense. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to create another variable. God, how many variables do you want? Well, as many as I need. And I'm going to call this one no colors. And that doesn't mean no colors. That's short for number of colors. It's a short. I could have called it number of colors. No spaces. You can't have spaces in variable names, but I could have done number of colors. It's very easy to create a variable called number of colors. Notice I use capitals for the beginnings of each word. That's how they stand out, but I don't have to do that. I could have called this anything I wanted. I could have called this a duck-billed platypus. Ooh, spell it right, it would be useful. Then again, the fact I can spell platypus is pretty impressive. Why would I call it a variable called duck-billed platypus? Well, unless I'm doing something on duck-billed platypi, it really wouldn't be important. I don't know if it is platypi for plural, but since I'm not going to be talking to one for a very short period of time, it's not going to matter. But I'm going to create one called no colors. There, I've created a variable. Woohoo! And what I've got to do is assign something to that variable, and the way I assign things is putting an equal sign to it, and that simply says whatever's on the left hand side, right hand side, whichever way, assign it to the variable name that's given on the left hand side. And what am I going to assign to it? The length of colors. Len, short for length. We programmers don't like to exhaust ourselves by having to write the additional 3 letters that will be required to form the word length. Len, a dear friend of mine, but not the one we're talking about here. Len is the length of the variable called colors. What's it measuring? The number of elements within it. In this case, 7. 7 colors are in the list. How many items are in the list? There are 7. That's what it's going to return. that means I've got something called number of colours. That tells me that's going to be, in this instance, 7. Now that's obvious, but we're going to extend this. Woohoo, this could be fun. But what it means is that's going to now have the numbers. And that's really useful, but how does that help me? Well, it means that now I don't have to do the maths each time. What I can do is I know it's always going to be 360 divided by, and then I'm going to put number of colours. And that's simply going to resolve the problem there. It's just going to make it easier for me to do the calculation. I don't have to do it. The system will. Now, there are certain problems with that. We noted with my calculation that came up with a decimal, 51 point something, and that might cause my program some problems. We'll find that out. Let's see if this works. According to me, this should, if I take this last piece off of there and chop it away, if I run my code, then my code should run very happily with 6 circles, because there are 6 colours. See, 6 colours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It's on the 5th, 6th. There you go. 6 colours. And that worked perfectly. So it knows it divided that into 60. Now, the reason why I did 6 was because the 7th one could throw up an error. We have no idea. But let's find out. There it is. Added it back in. There's a 7th colour. Run module. And then OK. And let's find out. Oh, no, it seems to be happy. It's still happy. So this has got 7 colours, 7 circles. So according to me, that should then make sure it still fits in perfectly within that calculation, and it does. It doesn't matter how many I add in, the system will simply keep the calculation, keep adjusting this calculation. It's going to simply keep doing this calculation, working out the degrees that I need. I'm going to add another one. Whoa, there's no stopping me. To make this easier on myself, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the copy paste routine. So those 2, and I'm going to go, oh, 2, no, that will get me 9. Let's do 3, and then we got 10. 10's quite a nice easy number, so, and it's also quite noticeable. So if I paste that into there, I should now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 colours. Now I haven't done anything to the calculation. All I've done is added some more colours into there, into my list. If I run the module and save it, I have 10 circles I'm expected to appear. So the angle of alteration should be much smaller. There's 3, and you can already see the angle of deviation is much smaller. I've lost count. I can't count to 10. It's too exhausting. But look at that. So varying that value. 1 more to go. There we go. That finishes that part off. I now have a computer that knows how many circles are going to be, and it will draw those in and create a very pretty pattern. The only thing I would like to do before we finish is I'm going to just tell it my turtle dot hide turtle, and you'll notice it's not indented. I don't want to hide the turtle while the code is running. The last thing I wanted to do is, once it's finished doing the 10 circles in this case, I want it to go and hide that turtle away. Why? Well, because it doesn't need to be seen, and that just makes my life a little bit nicer. I can see the whole image. So let's see how that works. So first of my circles, and we already know that 10 circles be drawn, and there goes my turtle. He's very happily scurrying along the screen, much better than the triangle we first had. Silly triangle. Here it goes, over halfway. You can see that we've got 1 more to go. There it goes, turtle hide. And there's my pattern, all finished.